Yeah.
Okay, so you wrote down 5 significant other people.
Yeah.
And the traits that go right next to them. Okay? Now, this is what, classically, I was looking, the reason why I was late, because I couldn't find my ink blot, that those of you who were in my previous classes, the ink blot that I showed you. But just to let you know, I had some demos made, okay, a long time ago. Okay, this is your t-shirt, okay, right, that we're making about the ink blot, okay, that we have been discussing, and basically what we're discussing is how we bring to the ink blot coming from our own experience. And everything in reality is an ink blot. The Baal Shem Tov says if you see flaws in other people, basically they're your own flaws. If you see good traits in other people, they're your own good traits. So therefore, what you have to do now is the list of the 5 names that you just wrote, you have to put a line through them and write your name next to them. Follow?
Yeah.
You already did
Did
it.
this one
She's on,
before.
yeah.
So I wrote only the good things. Then.
Of course, she was smart. So, whether you own up to it or not, it's for your own introspection. Okay? Whether, whatever those traits are, this is your path. And you have your Elul work to do, Elul, like just before Rosh Hashanah, to think about these, consider them, ponder them, and maybe with a trusted other person discuss them and saying, I don't think I have this. My son is lazy. I'm not lazy. Okay? Well,
Good things.
That's good things.
oh, you're so good.
Really good.
That's awesome. That's a great reflection. That's a great reflection. Now, if you want to go ahead and now what I want you to do is write down, right after this, the thing. Now, everybody could use a raise a hand. If it's not a person that annoys them in their life, maybe it's a situation that is annoying them. Okay? Write it down. This is your Elul work.
Oh, to write what?
Anything that annoys you in your life. Don't forget, this class is about
Me.
our spiritual, a spiritual approach to enemies. That's what the name of this book is. You are what you hate.
Okay, bothers me.
Okay?
Bothers me.
Meaning, right, if something you hate in your life, and it doesn't have to be a hate, 100% hate. It doesn't have to be a completely anything that annoys you. And if you can't think of one, it's okay, because I bet that this week God will show you, okay? And you can come back next week and share it with all of us if you so dare, okay? The other thing is there's something that everybody's got it. If it's not somebody, it's something. Some situation where there's dark in our lives. Okay? As we now venture into a complete change in perception and a change in approach, something more practical than what we're probably used to growing up and living in this world, in how to approach those things that annoy us, and namely those enemies. Okay? Now, where's my book? Okay. Here we go. All right. So I'm going to hand these out, but first we're just going to recap a little bit on last week's class. If anybody doesn't have copies, we have copies right here. Okay, if you want to pass those down. Oh, I got to pass this down too.
159.
If your name is not on it, if you could just put your name or put a check mark next to your name, okay? So just we have information, just because, God willing, I'm putting these on videos, and basically I'm taking excerpts out and I'm sending them, because it's always good to review, because you can't review it enough. Because what we're doing is we're changing the way that you usually see things, okay? Altering your perception means a lot. Because if you alter your perception, you alter your approach to it, okay? So, we talked a little bit last week about Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses at the burning bush. There's an interesting midrash that it was an unbelievable revelation of the burning bush. Many commentators have different angles about what was the metaphor of the burning bush. The fire that kept going and didn't consume the bush, what was it? One commentary brings down, it was the fire at Sinai that was expressed to the Jewish people. The fire of the Torah was given by way of fire, and that was it, okay? There's other commentators which say differently. The fire represented the forces of evil, and the bush represented the Jewish people. That here was, even though that the Jewish people were should be consumed by the dark forces, they weren't. They were still around. But in general, the way the Hasidic thought brings down or understands this, it was an unbelievable revelation to Moses. What is the Shekhinah? What is the divine presence? We all know the term Shekhinah, and we all might have different interpretations of different ideas of what it is. I've studied significant text. That's perfect. Just move it right in the front of the kid.
Lots of them.
That's good, that's good. What is the Shekhinah? Right? So people gave some ideas last time. Anybody who wasn't here last week, give your idea what you think the Shekhinah is.
I thought it was lots of things, like it's the embodiment of the spirit of the Jewish people, or it's the presence of Hashem in the physical universe, or it's the spark of the divine within each of us.
Okay, good. Anybody else want to share?
Feminine side.
Feminine side, also always known as the feminine side. Anybody else? Okay, we say it all the time. L'shem yichud kudsha b'richu shchintei. For the sake of the unity of the Holy One, blessed be He, and His divine presence. Well, wait a minute. Isn't the Holy One, blessed be He, the divine presence? Why are we unifying God with the divine presence?
There's the masculine and feminine aspect.
That's kind of interesting because we know God did not have body parts or feminine or masculine.
Spiritually
Even though there's many people who
feminine.
says, God is a woman. What are you talking about? Okay?
It could be the.
Why is he always referred to as a
masculine,
he?
feminine.
Right? No, you're saying good. You're saying very good. We're just going to give it like a little bit of a complete the concept. Okay? So God made the creation in order to, and these are the magic words, Judaism 101. God made the creation in order to, Nina, you know.
Yes, to do good to us.
Uh-huh. As the two words. God made the creation in order to bestow pleasure. Okay? This whole purpose of creation. So the question is, what is the nature of that pleasure? Okay? The ultimate nature of that pleasure, of course, what's the best thing that He wants to give His creation? Himself. So the ultimate purpose is for us to participate or have the relationship with God, with the divine. So in a collective way, all of our souls, one Kabbalist brought down, really there's only one soul. God breathed into Adam the breath of life. And from him came out all of the other souls, but really, bottom line, there's only really one soul. The thing that divides us is our bodies, physical matter. But in the root, now, the Kabbalists do explain, really there's 70 root souls, really there's 600,000 root souls, right? And each one of us plugs into one of those 600,000. Okay? All of the Jewish people that are now alive all plug in to one of those 600,000. So this one soul, if you could look at it in a universal way, is, in terms of its connection or potential connection to God, is the Shekhinah. It is the ability of us in our unbelievable actualized potential to have the ultimate relationship with God. So it is feminine because it does receive. Okay? It is our experience, and the ultimate concept is the collective experience of the divine. Okay? That is the Shekhinah. When we say, for the sake of the unity of the divine, of the Holy One, blessed be He, and His Shekhinah, which means we want all of the Jewish people to connect in the most unbelievable way and have the most unbelievable experience of God all the time. That's the ultimate goal. Okay? L'shem yichud kudsha b'richu u'shchintei. And in my partaking of that, in my participating, in my involvement in a mitzvah, that in a micro, connecting to God, will bleed into the micro, into the macro, into the rest of the world. What we do in this small little corner of Houston has an unbelievable power.